we just get disconnected and reconnected 1,000 times? What the fuck was the glitchy? What is going on? For fuck's sake. Okay. Rolling the ad and hoping we're still on track. God damn it. Damn. Oops, I didn't mute my fucking shit. Fuck. Okay. Okay. Doing the most. Okay, so it looks like we definitely did get disconnected, but it's whatever. Oh, so you are a fucking Aries. Is that what you're saying? Isn't that so funny? I was like, no way. He's probably a Scorpio because he already said no to Aries. Those are the two people who don't want to tell you their sign. Um, you are a Scorpio, or are you just saying that? If you missed the cutoff for scales, scales is fish, fish is Pisces. I'm very confused on what you mean, but oh, scales is in Libra. Duh, my bad, dog. You're actually a Scorpio? We really nailed you like that? I kind of almost don't believe you. But I also love that for everyone involved. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Cute, cute, cute. Okay, so back to the... Oh, happy birthday. I kind of love that. Guess my birthday. That's tough. Guess my sign. And Dink, you don't get to say anything because you already know. We're asking Jelly Boy here, even though it seems like he's not that into astrology. But guess my sign. I'm pretty sure you know, don't you? Yeah. Jelly Boy, you're holding up the whole room. You're supposed to be guessing my birthday, too. That's okay, though. So, anyways, back to Jackson Pollock, or probably moving on to Van Gogh, or maybe um, sidestepping to Pablo Picasso. That could be cool. Is he worthy of his own art night? Um, I always go for musicians when I think of or offer, or I feel like musicians come to me more than anything for some reason, and it's probably because I fancy myself to be a musician more than I am one, right? Um, so it's interesting. A lot of people chose the painters because I like the material arts just as much. But it's cool. It's a different perspective, and different even lessons or teachings to share based on different art forms, which I really like. But no guesses. Fine. Stay a while. Figure it out yourself. It's like Googling my shit, trying to figure. Yeah, literally, as I'm saying, he's Googling my shit, trying to figure out my fucking birthday. 2 clicks and you figure out, yeah, I'm a Taurus. I have a Scorpio rising. Mm. Hell yeah, fucking right. I'm gonna light some Aries incense because didn't I say Jackson Pollock is an Aries or just Van Gogh? Either way, I want to light some incense and yeah. Get one. In my head, I'm singing Bertha. Man, I love my fucking silly ashtray for stoners. Anymore. Okay, so I do feel like we're gonna do a little bit of what's his name? Pablo Picasso. And it's so funny because yesterday I was planning on streaming. I just couldn't do it, you know. Sarah Paulson was being a fucking bitch. And I just was like, there's no fucking chance in hell. So I decided, you know, Thursday, I was like, oh, it'll be a surprise, a special guest. They're not telling me who it is, but I'm going to stream. And then it's like, no, I didn't end up streaming. And now I'm wondering if my special guest was supposed to be Pablo Picasso the other night. Sounds like something you would do, Jelly Boy. No. I mean, once in a while when someone offers me one, I might partake in a small dab, but like, no, I don't just do dabs. Pretty much flowers and edibles only, and usually it's just flowers. Okay, so back to my shit. No offense. I love conversing, but also trying to get through 5 people now tonight. Jackson Pollock, any last words, messages, anything you want to share with us before we move on to Pablo Picasso? Tom Wolfe? I guess I'll write it down. I never finished his books, but Jackson Pollock mentioned Tom Wolfe. Any last words? Tom Wolfe. Didn't he write Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test? That would have been after Jackson Pollock. Right. Yeah, he wished he lived a more interesting oh, that's cool. Thank you, because nobody ever asks questions. All right. What advice would he give? Let me write down Tom Wolfe real quick. Is he even dead? Yeah, he's gotta be. He's old as shit. Died during tourist season, but he was a Libra. Holy shit, that's so funny. Born in 1900. He was only 38 years old. How is it even possible? He looks ancient in these photos. What? No way. Was he 38 years old? He's an old man. What the fuck is this? Say he was born in 1900 and died in 1938, but he literally looks like an old man in all of these pictures. Okay, 2018. What the fuck is it? Okay, 2 different Tom Wolfes. Which one am I talking about? Thomas Wolfe? He was 38. He also looks pretty old for being 38. But then the Tom Wolfe Jr. Gotcha. He's the one. Yeah, he's the one who wrote Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, his son. Okay, that makes way more sense. So which one? Ah, so Tom Wolfe Sr. is obviously the one that Jackson Pollock would be referring to because they lived during the same era. Okay, so I'm writing Tom Wolfe's. Tom Wolfe's. Okay, and now back to focus. Advice. What is this? Oh. Um, Stop. I hate. All right. We're doing advice from Jackson Pollock and then moving on to Picasso. Yes. All right. Jackson Pollock, before you go, what advice can you give a young artist? And he says, change your perception of young. Change your perception of art. Because when you realize that all art is timeless and that all your time is experience, you feel less new and more deserving of you. Okay, so if my shit can sell for 200 million 100 years later, then imagine what you could sell for right now. Because that's what really counts. Okay, that would be his advice. Kind of cool. I like to think about that. Seems pretty solid, if not a little confusing, and that's okay too, right? Thank you, Jackson Pollock. That's pretty cool. So, last minute entry. We're gonna take Pablo Picasso. He was a Scorpio too, I think. Maybe that's why he showed up. He's like, oh, you want to talk about Scorpios and artists and not talk about me? I feel like he wasn't necessarily an asshole, but I feel like he was kind of an asshole. I think if he could do it all again, the first thing he's saying is that he would still be a fucking asshole. He died April 8th, which is a date of great significance to me. Very cool. I consider myself a surrealist by every measure. So, my personal favorite artist, painting artist, I suppose, is Salvador Dali. He's also a fucking Taurus. But he died during Aquarius season, so joke's on him, I guess. But nobody requested him, and I try not to make my own requests just because I don't like to abuse my powers and, like, ask for people to show up for me specifically all the time, just because it seems like, yeah, no, that would be almost taking advantage of it, right? Yeah. But Pablo Picasso says if you could do it all again, he'd still be an asshole. He sees me. Okay, here's the thing. He's like, I wasn't gonna say anything, but I see you. Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all a tidbit story. No, he was a Scorpio in life. Some people believe, and I think I am one of them. Some people believe that when you die during the season you were born in, you like completed your life cycle. Okay, so like H.H. Holmes is a Taurus who died during Taurus season, and so like you can't even argue that he's not the greatest serial killer to ever live. The man was a total fucking whack job, hack job, and we love to see it because there's no way he should have got away with like over 500 murders, and yet he did. And I'm not saying any of those people had it coming, but holy shit, insane, like what that guy pulled off, like fraud times a million. Like I can't. I'm not in. I don't watch the serial killer stuff. I'm not watching Dahmer. I love Evan Peters. I love American Horror Story. I'm not into true crime at all. Lived it. I'm good. I don't fuck around with that shit. But H.H. Holmes, you gotta just kind of give it up for the dude. At the end of the day, impressive. Okay, yeah. People are like skipping out on my fucking stream. I was considering talking to him on Devil's Night, but I feel like it wouldn't be smart to invoke that in me. Oh, no one. Okay, back to Picasso. So he wanted me to tell you this story. Today, I woke up really early in the morning, and I was angry, immediately angry, and then fell back asleep, and I woke up again, and I thought, wow, I'm over this shit. I'm not letting it fly anymore. What, you ask? Me underselling myself and not receiving my full value because I deny what I'm worth, right? Mentioned it in a post on my Instagram, like story today. You can follow my Instagrams at illmistakes, ILmistakes. And at Illy Millie. I guess I use them both now. Kind of spread thin always. So I woke up, I was angry. I went back to sleep. I woke up, instead of being angry, I woke up fed up. And I decided I was going to change things and no longer let this bullshit fly in my life, right? So when I sit here with Picasso now, and the first thing he tells me is, I came because I had to talk to you, clearly. And because he figured he'd want to talk to you. And kind of basically like look, if I could go back and do it all again, I would still be an asshole. And he's a legend, no doubt. But what people really remember, people who really interacted with him, was that he was an irreverent asshole. Like, never let up on anyone, never went easy on anybody, never was abusive to himself, really, and never felt like he was abusing anyone just because he would strike out or, lash out at somebody. I recall there may have been physical violence, but there was a lot of rehabilitation with that. He recognized when he would go too far, but he was very committed to being an asshole because kind of gave him his status. He as a kid he was a nice boy, pushover. But one day he did exactly what I did today. That's why he said he showed up on art night. He's like, party of four, make it a party of five. Oh, oh, Diego too. Gosh, I feel like it like opens a can of worms because why did I almost just call Pablo Diego? Unless Diego Rivera, who I said his name like at least 3 times tonight. I just didn't think him and Frida had a very happy marriage and didn't want to invite him, and now it feels like he's crashing the wedding. It's just a dinner party, but it's okay, you guys. No Diego Rivera tonight, but okay. So Pablo, he was a pushover. He was so nice, blah blah blah, and it wasn't until he was much older that he did get into not the painting, but get into, forced his way in. Was he that good? He was very inventive, and that's kind of the same energy I have where I said I'm a natural hack. So he's like, me too. What was I doing? I did something. You hear that? You hear, not even like channeling her, but I feel like she's talking about Picasso. Um, uh, Picasso learned graffiti. That's learned art, and it's funny you say cats because those silly cats. That's where it all began for him. Was he was on the streets of Mexico, even though he was Spanish. He was on the streets of Mexico, and kind of he got into it with some kids. He's like showing me himself being there young, but I can't picture it because I didn't know what he looked like when he was young. So I can see him older, and we're like, it's almost like spoilers, Stranger Things when Elle and Max are chasing each other. You know what I'm saying? It feels like that. So he's like, okay. He picked up some. He just was playing along with them. And he didn't know they were. He maybe even probably could have been whatever, but he was so drawn to it. He had never painted anything before, and he said, "Well, I don't know what to do." And they said, "Just gato," and so he did, and he just spray painted a cat, and that was kind of how it all started. I imagine they didn't just have aerosol cans of paint though. So I'm not sure if it was spray paint necessarily as we would imagine it, if it was like actual airbrush. But it was on a brick slab. It wasn't a wall. It wasn't attached to anything. It was a brick slab that these kids were painting, and he came up and did it with them. So it wasn't. It was graffiti, but it was not. It was back in the 20s or 30s or something. I just looked it up, but I can't even remember. He died in 73. So yeah, so if he was born in 1900, it may have. I feel like it was early. He was a teen. He was showing me really young. And that's what he opened up to paintings, and he never got any better at drawing cats because he always wanted, just in case those kids ever grew up and saw any of his paintings, he wanted them to know, like, look, he painted this cat, and no one would believe them if he ever got better at painting cats. So he put cats in almost all of his paintings, and no one ever knew why. That was why. He wanted those boys to be able to find him later in life if they were ever curious about whether or not it had an effect on him, because it had that much of an effect on him. So he was very sentimental. He was very memorable, and impressionable, from a young age, Picasso. And he was kind of, ill-willed but respected in a sense because he forced his way in. Okay, before we get to it, I gotta roll the ads. I hate that I do it every 20 minutes, but it'll randomly be like, okay, you disabled it for 21 minutes, and I'm like, really? And it changes, so I just try to keep it to 20 minutes. Let's not get too deep into the Picasso, but I'm feeling very connected and really good. But let me run this ad so we don't get interrupted before I get any deeper. Thank you all for being here. Okay, now it's walking. All right, so back to focus. Cool. So, um, a lot of thoughts. I got a little distracted on that break. I shouldn't have distracted myself in such a gay panic way. Okay, back to focus. Talk about Picasso. So he was always very gentle. He was always very gentle. He was a creature of kindness, and his mother was so kind and instilled kindness in him. And he could be very sensitive, and he was known to cry kind of a lot. He was like 6 years old, and there was a bunny on the side of the road by his house on his way to school, and he was walking alone. So he had a moment where he stopped and prayed for the bunny, and he cried to himself. And some boys saw him, and they decided, not to beat him up. I think they pushed him down. Maybe they did beat him up, and he's just being kind of whatever. They ganged up on him, and it moved him, but it didn't change him. It felt like he lived in a cold world, and he got colder, but he never got any less kind. So by the time he got older, he knew it was gonna be a revolution in art, what he was doing. Not necessarily just what he was doing, but the whole movement at the time was just everybody was putting out something different. How could I be a surrealist and Dali be a surrealist at the same time? Because it was all revolutionary. We were all putting out something new and different, and things that no one had done, pushing barriers, taken out, even in Spain, yeah. So that Stanley was working all over the world, okay? I was old too, older. Um, but kind of, you know, I knew it was a dog eat dog world because everyone was so good. But my mother taught me kindness. So I was very gentle. The animals and with people and children. But I was never nice. Everyone knew I was an asshole, knew not to mess with me. They had no idea what I did behind the scenes, with my money, with my time, with so much. Volunteer, donating. It didn't matter. I didn't want anyone to know. But I had to absolve myself being an asshole all the time. But I knew that people would want to press me or question me or take advantage of me. Well, I just opened my eyes to see that question, and he immediately flashed all those paintings. And it's weird how intuitive you are with him. I wonder who you really are, because you're so intuitive that when you said the graffiti and then he told the story, like, how the fuck did you know that it started with graffiti? And now you're asking about the blue period. That was a time where he was really trying to reconcile with himself and was coming to amends to understand that he was always going to have this shitty reputation of being an asshole because it protected who he really was, because he didn't have thick skin at all. He had to become the bully so he wasn't bullied, or worse, taken advantage of and get all his money siphoned from him, because now it goes to his children and his children's children instead of some fuck shit, art dealing bullshit. He built his own legacy. He had total control over everything because he was an asshole. And people said, "Look, we want to work with you. You're the best. What do we got to do to make you happy?" Because he was always fucking perceived as miserable, but he was overjoyed in all moments. So there was a period, his blue period, it was his time of depression. And no one believed it because he was such an asshole. He cried on those paintings. I don't even know much about the blue period. Like I said, I see flashes of paintings, but he was so depressed. I think his mother died, and that's what triggered him, is that, she was the only one who knew how sweet and how gentle he really was. And he kind of reflected, oh my gosh, now I'm seeing it, and yeah, that goes right along. I don't know if time-wise that would work for his mother dying. I don't know if it was like he went back to process it. Goddamn, he was kind of old, huh? 1901 and 1904, but he died in 19... I'm sorry, when was he born and died? He's blowing my mind right now. Universal guy, yeah, 81. He was old as fuck when he died. How old was he? Not old as fuck, but like 80 something. That's amazing. He lived a very long and fulfilled life. It doesn't say, he had a shit ton of children. Yeah, they all not profit off him, but the legacy stayed in their name, in their hands. Oh, of course, the one I click on is a Taurus. 75 years old now. His son is a Taurus, 75 years old now. Crazy, absolutely beautiful also. Of course, though. So it's incredible. Yeah, it all stayed in the family. And so I probably have no way of finding out when his mother died. So he was like 20 years old. And it's so funny because his blue period maybe is considered some of his best work and what put him on the map. And he's like, yeah, my earliest work was my best. And it's funny that if you are more regular, start wearing purple, la da 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 da. Start wearing purple for me now. Oh, okay. Yeah, especially because you're a Scorpio too. Like, it is honestly freaking me out. You're like 3 and 3 for the. But I'm trying to figure out when, like, if there's even a record of when his mom died. I'm gonna just look at Wikipedia. It's an interesting, whatever story he's spinning right now is really interesting. Um, okay, so like early life. Okay, so it says his dad died in 1913, but it just says his mom's name. It doesn't say when she died. Okay. Like, literally just doesn't fucking say. Who is his dad? An art teacher. Spouse. Maria Picasso. Just redirects to him. Huh. Yeah, interesting. I just was very curious when she passed away. But no dice. I don't think it's gonna happen. Okay, so whoa. So it's weird that I still am looking at this page. According to his mother, his first words were piz piz, a shortening of lapis, the Spanish word for pencil. But lapis is always lapis lazuli, and lapis lazuli, the stone, is blue. So that's really weird. I am still low key. Oh, in 1895, his 7-year-old sister died. So that would have been like 6 years before the blue period. Okay, so it still doesn't say anywhere about his mom. Okay. I'm just like scanning over this to see if they mention it. Is that weird? I did. Okay, so I got to the blue period in this Wikipedia article, and it hasn't mentioned his mother's death yet. So maybe it was his sister, not his mother, that he was processing the grief of her death. Piz. Listen, you're a goofball. All right. Okay, so I don't know when his mom died. I could probably look further into it. I'm not going to. 111 on the time. Oh my God, stop. That's the most Piscean thing to say about your Taurus mom. I love you, but please outlive her. She would freak the fuck out if you went when she did. No, they really can't hide it. I talk to things that are non-human just as much as I talk to human things, so like there's really no tricking. There are sides to spirits that you might not necessarily like see. Um, Sorry, I was not on the screen, so like I'm catching up on the chat right now. There are things that um, you may see that reflect differently from what a spirit shows you in one moment to the next. For example, as much as I talk to John Lennon, there is this aspect of like complete madness that overcomes him where he's shown up in this weird state of like, he kind of like appears in a straitjacket and people carry him off to the point where I like looked it up to see if he had a psychiatric record at all, and there was one document I found that I didn't read, but I don't think it was actually about that. I think it was the psychological effect of the music or some psychological profile, but it wasn't necessarily his records. So it was just I hope that's like a comprehensive enough answer to the question at play. So yeah, the blue period was inspired by his grief, whether it was for his mother or his deceased sister. I feel like it was his mom though. If I couldn't find her death date, but like her husband and her son are on here, maybe I should Google it before I give up the search. But why wouldn't it be listed on a Wikipedia? You know, right? If it was like anywhere on the internet, or am I wrong for assuming? Bertha, don't you come around here anymore. Anymore. I love that there's like an Instagram filter for the Grateful Dead. Why is this so difficult all of a sudden to find? Okay, a name, thank you. Holy shit. Oh my God, it literally says she was married in 1980 or 1880, but it doesn't say when she died. All right, 1939. Okay, thank you. So it was not inspired by her death, but rather, LOL. I went to college, but I didn't graduate. She's not. She died in 39. So Yeah, he was grieving the death. He was processing the death of his sister and grieving the inevitable death of his mother, who probably was a bit miserable considering this was years after she lost her 7-year-old daughter. It put a rift in their relationship, but it was also kind of kind of what brought them together. It's sort of when he did become an asshole, where he was almost also grieving his former self, where because the work didn't necessarily challenge him, people did assume, like I said, he was very intentional about his attitude because he didn't want to get hurt like he had when he was a boy. You know, he came from a sensitive household of accepting and loving people. His father was far from abusive. He'd been drunk a few times and gotten aggressive, so he would apologize, you know, and come to his son or his children and hold them and say, you know, I've got to stay off the drink, and then would for months, years, you know, and occasionally that happened. It was never a big thing. So he came from a loving household, and, you know, people really judged him for that. So he did. That was around the time where he was grieving his former self, so to speak, where he just had to grow cold on the outside and was a big old softy. So he was very gentle with animals, insects, birds, butterflies, everything like that, where he could even be very hard to talk to, but he would talk all his sweetness into plants, animals, everything, the sky, it didn't matter. He was very sweet, and no one knew it, and he never once regrets that, because he would have never been able to have control over himself or his life or his finances or his legacy like he did, or be worth as much as he was when he was alive, okay? Because no one ever talked down to him. He never let anyone talk down to him. So once again, I told that story about me waking up angry and then waking up again and saying, no, I'm actually just fed up. Okay? That was like his connection to me, in a sense, where he's like, yes, see, I never had to do that. You did that for 30 years, right? I got hip to it at 13. I realized the world was cruel. Okay? The more you care, the more they destroy you. That much is true. The harsher you are, the further you get, the more heads that you step on, the higher the staircase, isn't it? Okay? Never change. Never let people know who you are. For me, it's a little late, isn't it? But I'm pretty open about being an asshole, too. I've always embraced that side of my reputation. I let people think that or see that and know that, because it's true. I have some pretty fucking fierce boundaries that I do not appreciate being crossed. And so basically, Picasso's like, yep, I wouldn't even let people know where my boundaries were to have them crossed. Okay? Yeah. You want to see who comes up, or you want to tell me, ask me? It would be a quicker thing. I'm not going to spend 30, 40 minutes on it like I do with public figures. You have to buy personal readings if you want a full reading, but I like to touch base with at least someone um, in the chat, because verify what I'm saying, because we can't in any other quantifiable way. Jelly Boy. I'm hearing a song. I saw someone like with a beanie and like a leather, like kind of a 90s look. You said you're only 30, so it could have been an older figure to you in the 90s, because it seemed like a full grown person, or they like liked Limp Bizkit or something. Like it's that weird, like those old school beanies with like the two tone, you know, and not this new wave Carhartt beanies, and like a puffy, sort of like leathery jacket. Okay, showing me that kind of like 90s swagger. Like, I don't know how else to explain it. But then I hear the song, the first single by The Format, which is sung by Nate Roos, who's in Fun. But the lyric that I'm hearing is, then there's Adam, he's afraid to go out, I don't blame him. So I don't know if it's someone named Adam or a fan of any of that, or someone who passed away in the 90s. I'm guessing it's your Uncle Adam, though, who like OD'd and died when you were probably like 8-ish, 98, 99. He was at like a rave or something and got a bad batch. It's not, I mean, he partied, but like it was kind of a freak accident. He like fell off a balcony or something. I don't know. could be totally making that up if somebody's gassing themselves up. That seems oddly specific and very bizarre and not at all real. Like I hear how that hears. I don't know. I don't even know at this point if you had an Uncle Adam or not. So I'm gonna take this commercial break opportunity and see how you're feeling about that. Okay, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Did you have an uncle that passed away in the 90s when you were a kid? I don't know. It could have been like an Adam Ant reference. It could have been Nate, because Nate Roos was singing. That's what I was saying. Like, I don't know why that song popped in my head. There's other names in that song too. Adam, Mark. Um, I can't remember if there's any other ones, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. That was just, like I said, flashes of what came up. Down with the sickness. It's like maybe somebody who just, like, really liked 90s music, but it was either, like, your uncle in the 90s or, like, your friend who was really into 90s music and had uncle vibes, like, never had kids. I don't know. I don't know. I ain't really trying to guess. I mean, I usually am pretty on point, but at the same time, I could be wrong, completely off. There's like a lot going on. I have like a list of people, so it could just be like whatever, cross messages. You know what I mean? So sorry, bummer if it didn't kind of hit, you know. So, or just someone who's agoraphobic that passed away um, because it's Adam is afraid to go out, you know, very agoraphobia. Um, let's check in with Pablo Picasso and see if he's got any last words. Then we're gonna go on to Vincent van Gogh. Still gotta get to Frida Kahlo and Artemisia. Yeah, she was my headliner because I have to go farthest back to talk to her, and she speaks Italian, so it'll be slow and come in. You know, I knew these fuckers would be a lot chattier because they speak English and shit. Um, yeah, no problem. I still think there's someone you're forgetting about. Again, if you had an uncle that died in the 90s, but you were a kid and you don't really remember him, I have a really good memory and remember a lot of details of my childhood. Not everybody does. So you could always, like, ask someone. The LOL, that was kind of hilarious. Were you here when there was, like, someone who's not been on my stream since, and, she walked in during a Halloween Oracle. It was like Queen Leo something or other during Leo season. And I was just like, oh, your dad bet. And like got his name right, got his favorite band right, got his sun sign right. Like it was crazy. And he just went off and went on a tangent. It was so cool. He was really cool. Okay, could be like drug abusive. That's what I'm saying. They like OD'd and died. It may have been that. Um, doesn't really, I mean, I don't think that's really someone we need to like spend a ton of time talking to necessarily, but yeah, I know, I get it. Um, okay, how are you just now saying, I literally said that from the start. I was like, it's someone who like OD'd and died in the 90s, in 98, your uncle. Oh, sorry. Okay. phone call. Also all day tonight? I don't know. Maybe we shouldn't be dwelling on it too much. I apologize if it's brought up some shit. Yeah, that makes sense. That's what I'm saying. I literally started with that. I'm like, no, I didn't know that about you when I said it. But you can rewatch the reading and see if it resonates the second time around, because sometimes people don't hear it the first time, you know. But okay, so yeah. Y'all, I think I need a second. I've been doing okay. I do want to just get. Oh yeah. Picasso. Do y'all have any last questions, Picasso, before we let him go? If he had one word, he said if there was one word, it would be character. Nobody cares about your personality. Nobody cares about your social status or your work or anything. It's your character. My character was consistent, albeit annoying, pompous douchebag. You could say now, okay, I was an asshole. I said that I was an asshole. But my character was to be renowned. People vouched for me. They knew I was solid. I treat people badly and do things nice behind their back or look out for them, help them, and they knew that I would always lift people up, but I treated them like, oh, I don't even care about you, and my actions proved otherwise. That's my character. Shines through and combated my reputation and did wonders for me and got me ahead. So at the end of the day, even though I was an asshole, people did know I was kind. Even if I never wanted to be nice, I never wanted them to know the kindness that I had in my heart for my mother, you know. Pursuing a career, you can't pursue arts. To think of art as a career is a disservice to art, in a sense. Of course, to make money is so much more than to sell out. But first, you must accept the title of artist and understand that you become a heavyweight champion when you pick up the brush, when you pick up a stroke. Okay, so kind of got to think away from tradition, the box, career, job. The work is a spiritual connection to the essence of nature, interpreted into the values of entertainment, kind of to see it so small and less universal as to insult it. I'm hearing, okay, here's something in Spanish, and I might get this wrong. This might not make any sense because I don't speak a lot of Spanish. Con ise de liberté. Con ise with liberté. Con ise de liberté. That sounds like you with liberty, right? Con ise de liberté. I feel like that doesn't probably translate. I'm probably not saying what he's trying to get me to say. Con ise. But I know they're all words in Spanish, so I feel like I'm con ise de liberté. Whoa. Con ise. With that freedom. Ah, holy shit. Con ise de liberté. So he's saying, okay, so I got the first part. Con ise de liberté. Ir. It sounds like Japanese when I say irigato. Igato. Igato. Notimos. Se dice. That one I feel like it could not possibly translate. Something about the cat, right? hold on. ¿Cómo se dice? What did I just say? No, okay. Con ese de liberté. What was it? Es gatos harmonium. Nope. What is that? What did he say? I can't remember what I said the first time. Ir gatos iris gatos. I'm hearing like so many different. Okay, maybe that's it. Okay, hold on. De dice noches. Dice, oh my god, what the fuck? This is so funny that these are all words and that I'm hearing a phrase in Spanish and trying to actively translate what the fuck I'm saying. Oh, that's so funny that you are here. Yeah, okay. I'm trying to be able to say it right. So far, okay, hold on. La noches, I think, is la noches. And that's the night. It's something similar to this. Okay. That's what I got. So on my end, that translation is, with that of freedom, you will go cats of being wished the night. But I think, obviously, I probably got some words wrong. But what he's trying to say, he's referencing the cat story, right? Because he put the cats in all of his paintings. He never got better at painting cats, so those guys could see that he was the one who painted the cat on the wall that day. And they taught him everything he knew about painting, which was nothing about the actual paint and everything about doing it, okay? So he's trying to say, after what he said about, expanding your view of art and not tying it to a career or whatever. So with that freedom, you go by the cats in the night of your desires. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's trying to say, like, your cat, your wish, your desire for whatever your cat is, your signature stamp, your impression that you leave, or the core of your being, or your earliest stages. It feels so floaty. Like, it's such a good, like, whatever he's trying to say is very beautiful and poetic and ties the whole evening together, but I probably completely botched it, but it is super funny. To like, yeah, something like that, where I'm sure I could be saying it so much better. With that of freedom, you will go cats of being wished the night. So, like, I think he's trying to say, with that freedom, you will go on to, yeah, I don't know. I love it. With that of freedom, you will go cats of being wished in the night. Como se say? Is that like, I don't know. I have no idea. Super cute though. Really love it. Really love it. How long have you been in the mother effing shower, bro? Why is it such a Gemini thing to do? It takes super long. Yes, that's basically it. Yes. So, super interesting and cool guy. Loved that, dude. Maybe for his birthday we'll fucking pop back in. Picasso. I didn't even have him on the list. That's so sad. But like I said, my list would have been different than a collective. I asked people and just wrote down anybody who popped into my head. But Picasso, thank you for showing up and making time for us on art night. Okay. Thank you. I'm glad you resonated and connected with it. Yeah, it's like, don't interrupt. We're doing a thing here. Okay. Um, cheers, Picasso. And thank you for the coffee and the joint. We're gonna try to slip into Van Gogh. I'm gonna take a few minutes here. We'll talk for a second. That's interesting. It came up on Google Translate. When I put it in, it just said the freedom, or of freedom. That of freedom is how it came up. So maybe it's just different dialect or something. Or, yeah, he was Spanish, so there's a good chance that the language he spoke was more mixed with French because Spain and France are next to each other, right? So that would actually check out perfectly. And also, yeah, maybe he was trying to tell me a French phrase and that's why I was fucking it up, but also maybe he couldn't remember. But yeah, there was a cat. It was supposed to be a cat reference to our dreams, and in the night being reference to our dreams and desires and stuff. So it was cute. I liked it. Yeah, I liked it. So I'm gonna roll my ad in a few minutes, so we can just sit and kind of talk and release the artists that have come up and move on, and we're gonna get into Van Gogh. He's a lot more shy. I didn't think he would talk to me actually. I think you suggested it, Cass, and I was hesitant. Where I was like, okay, you picked a couple people I think that day when I first asked, and you had said Van Gogh, and I think you said Frida and Van Gogh, right? So I said Frida definitely because immediately it was like, yes, we're gonna do it on a Friday. It's gonna be a whole thing, especially because I just watched Coco recently, and they also use no spoilers. I hate spoilers, but I hope that you'll forgive me if this is somehow spoiling a kids Disney movie. Yeah. So the fact that they also that is so creepy. I watched it like a couple weeks ago, but like that's so weird. But you knew Frida. That's what I'm saying. They even use Frida as the one putting on a production, okay, in the movie. So it's just funny that yes, that's the same energy that I got from Frida, where she was like, "Let's put on art night. Like, let's do it up. This is what you're gonna wear." Like, we were planning it all week, especially because I didn't stream the past 3 or 4 days. So like, Frida was like ready to go immediately. And it's funny that I don't call her KAHLO. I call her Frida because she is Frida, and it's funny the movie is Frida. Like, her energy is expounding. I don't even know if that's a real word, but she produces such a strong energy, always has, and still does. Okay, is expounding a word? Present and explains systematically and in detail. Systemically. No, systematically. Um, explain the meaning of. Okay, so yeah, she's expounding her energy. I don't think that really makes sense, but I kind of get what she's trying to say. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But it's funny that she does. It's not funny, but it's like so kind of obvious. It's weird how everyone takes to it, right? Like that way. She's just magnificent in that way. It's very much like a presence that she did have in this life, but that everyone revered her for and now she gets to stay kind of connected to it, but also be like the like big grin smile. I feel like she's been popping in through the night to kind of introduce everybody in a sense. I don't even know. Like I said, I think her birthday she's a Cancer. It's like July 7th or just 17th or something. Maybe not. Um, you just look. Yeah, okay, she's definitely Mexican. I don't know why I was doubting that. July 6th, not July 7th. Oh, and she died July 13th, so she completed her life cycle. That's why her energy is so strong. She was married to Diego Rivera twice. Ooh. I get it though, girl. I totally get it. When's his birthday? Fucking Sag, man. He also died during Sag season, so they both completed their life cycle. That's pretty impressive. That's insane to me. Okay. Wow. So they got married twice. And he outlived her, but probably really so they could get their life cycles on point. Wow. That's crazy. That is so wild. So yeah, she was definitely Mexican, which like it came to mind. But also, I feel like she may be some. She was Guatemalan also. Oh no, her dad was German, not Guatemalan. That's interesting that I would say that. Mestiza is Mexican. Oh, racial classification, European and Indigenous American. Huh. Wow, interesting. Okay. Um, we were gonna do Van Gogh first anyway. Okay, like I said, that makes sense. I was kind of agreeing with you. I don't know why you're going back to that unless the delay is that much. Where I was like, yeah, Spain and France are next to each other, are they not? It makes sense if he was speaking Spench. You know, we say Spanglish, Spench, or Franish. I like Franish, I think. Um, cute. Oh, let me roll this ad, grab a little snack because I'll pass out if I don't, and then we're gonna do Van Gogh, Frida, and Artemisia. All right, y'all. Just had to casually stuff my face a bit before we got too deep into this. So, part of the reason I was going into how very present Frida's energy was is that when someone, I think when you first recommended also or suggested, requested Van Gogh, I immediately was like, I doubt it. I don't think we can get him to talk. But then I opened it up to Instagram to take requests, and someone said Van Gogh again. So I was like, okay. And we kind of, had this moment where it's like, oh, what if we do it the same night as Frida, get them warmed up, and so then we put them on the list. So that's the thing. Van Gogh, not a big talker, couldn't really speak English. I feel like people just assume that he did, but he didn't fucking speak English. It's almost as if there's like a buffer where I can see him pretty clearly, but he's very soulful, but soulless at the same time. Like, I wouldn't really know how else to explain it. Is that he's like very detached and quite sad still because his human life really was not good, but he never really was interested in returning. He just more at this point is observing the impact his work has made, and he's like ultimately debating on whether or not to proceed in reincarnating or to just be done with it and see that he made his impact even if he feels unfulfilled himself. Because there were so many things so wrong about his experience, and it's one of those things that just seems like he could, if anything, kind of, God, see, he doesn't speak English. Um, gosh, I feel like he did that a lot. And it's funny because my Polish grandfather does that too. If he's fed up, annoyed, tired, repeating himself, doesn't matter. It's just this. So maybe it's just like a old school European thing to do, right? So, very much that energy. He's still very full of anxiety. He sees the world we live in today, and it almost increases. It's like this feeling of like, kind of like he's not sure he would have done better in this world either. Okay, like that's exactly why Picasso spoke first, as he said, if I had to go back and do it all again, I'd still be an asshole because look, his kids, his whole legacy, he had lived a long life, like he had this beautiful ceremonious thing happen to him, okay? And Van Gogh had a very different story and outcome, even though people want to talk about it now. Nobody wanted to talk to him then, and so it's very hard to be like revered when you were unloved, and like of course no one wants to see that for me, um, even though I always did identify with that kind of energy of being so fascinated with death and morbidity at a young age, but also always wanting to be an artist. That I just figured, um, it wouldn't happen for me in this lifetime because that was sort of how art worked in history. Is once someone died, there was value to it, right? But that's also like hustling people out of their own money. Okay, so it's just interesting. It's just interesting because he's a lot less confident than other people or other artists because he lived in an era where people still were kind of, I almost said prosecuted. And I guess, yeah, they were prosecuted for being artists, even though people did want their art. Look, mind putting my fucking hoop earring over my ear. He had a lot of reasons to have done that. It was like if he drank the paint, it was because God told him to. It was blue paint. It was blue paint. The way that they made, okay, it's very, of course everybody's going to say he's crazy and drank fucking paint. Everybody was drinking that shit. They put something in it. It was like cyan blue before, they could produce, there was thing processed with alcohol. It basically, the paint was fermented. It was very well known that many artists were huffing and why, yeah, they were getting fucked up. They were getting fucked up. It was a fermented, it's not the same kind of paint that you would imagine nowadays. It comes out of a tube at a craft store. You know, they were making it out of anything that they could. It was a new color and new ingredients. Once again, they learned to fucking photosynthesize it. Not photosynthesize, just synthesize it. Um, but when he was drinking paint, as anybody remembers, he was doing the same thing as many artists of his time were. In fact, it almost seemed as if they were coming up with colors to hide concoctions in during times of prohibition, where he was in France or Netherlands, wherever that whole region. Like, the America's not the only one who frowned upon alcohol at different times in life. You know. During wars, shortages, whatever. It was very much a communal thing among the art scene for people to be getting high off of some of the fumes and chemicals in the paints they were using. So, like, no, he didn't just outright drink the paint. There was a very specific shade of blue that was toxic as fuck to you, but you'd have hallucinations and shit. It was like absinthe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, chemical dyes, you know, like it wasn't necessarily paint. So it was very dangerous. They walked a fine line, but no, he wasn't just like absurdly, uniquely insane. He was doing, you know, what was hip at the time, basically. But he's one of the only notable artists of his scene, you know what I mean? And he was the least respected, but because he kind of died early on, I don't know how old he was. I don't feel like looking shit up about Van Gogh. I don't know. He's got this, like I said, he's got this energy and not really wanting to talk, but everybody else is. So I guess if you do have questions, ask him quick. I don't imagine he's going to stick it out much longer. Um, More of a shy kind of person, you know, which is, I feel, a rare Aries trait, even. But he just can't seem to break from the perpetual dilemma of having lived the life of legacy. But isn't it interesting that we say specifically the blue paint when this whole common theme of this like blue electricity has been running through these Halloween oracle readings, um, which ultimately it'll all come back to, and I think it's really cute, and I mean it'll be okay, you know, because I guess it is what it is, but. Yeah. So any questions for Van Gogh? It's just like everything was, you know, as I believe Claude Monet was this way too, where sometimes poor eyesight was your greatest vision. Cause yeah, I think Van Gogh was a little blind, couldn't see much beyond his vision, so he would try to express, eloquate how he was feeling because of his vision. I don't, for some reason, glasses were not necessarily a concept. I wouldn't doubt people had some sort of spectacles, but like for some reason they were just not an option or a concept he understood. I feel like he was living somewhere very remote, and it didn't seem to have been an issue for too many people to have driven a solution at the time. So he was meant to wear glasses and he didn't, and so he was very pained by this. Like he had migraines and didn't understand why, you know. And so of course would mess with the chemicals and see what would react or help, you know, numb that kind of pain. People were self-medicating. There was no other medicine, right? He lived very remote, okay, a village, you know. He was never into the city. He wasn't social enough to live in the city. Even Paris back then was so what it's like you say bourgeois as in bourgeois and bizarre bourgeois. I don't know if that's actually a French term, but he's saying even Paris was bourgeois, you know. So I guess that's really. It's just he's a shy person. He always was, and he's still nervous about coming back or leaving. You know, either or, because he's got such mixed feelings about his own life and legacy that he's just not sure. You know, once more what he would do if given the opportunity. I suppose. So, yeah, I didn't expect to get much from Van Gogh because He just never really talked that much in his life either. Didn't become particularly chatty, having passed away, right? Some people change, some people don't, or you change in ways and not in others. So, cheers. Yeah, I'm gonna maybe rip the joint for him. Losing views by the second. What happened? Thought Dink was looking so forward to the Van Gogh portion of the evening. Any last questions or last statements for Van Gogh? We're going to be wrapping it up in a few minutes. He's just not as chatty as the others. And that's okay. We respect everybody's wishes. Any questions for Van Gogh before we take off and move on to Frida? She's more talkative, so it'll be more fun. Any last words of advice, Van Gogh? I'm hearing stick to what you know, because the seeds of knowledge are the ones planted in your soil. I think there's some sort of idiom, some Dutch phrase that would consect that better. They have a saying for it, but the basic English translation is, go with your gut, go with what you know, because it is it's like written in the stars for you. It's dug in the dirt for you. It's been planted into you, and that's why we know the things that we know. So never let go of what you know, especially if you see it, right? Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's about what we're gonna get from it. Very cool. Thank you, Bingo. If any of you want to come up again later, open forum at the end. Thank you. All right, so I'm gonna run this ad break, and we're gonna come back. We're gonna do combo with Frida, and then we're gonna move on to our Demisia Gentileschi, and then we will see kind of where I'm at personally, because this has been quite an interesting evening, a lot of fun. We're gonna finish the angel cards that have been sitting on my desk for a few days. You'll notice I haven't even had a tap because I knew I was doing this for a week and I didn't channel anybody else since my last stream, so I was pretty prepared for this. So yeah, Frida's up next, and then Gentileschi, and then we'll figure out what we're doing for the rest of the evening. So I will be right back. Thanks for being here. And all right, Frida, let's light some Cancer incense, right? For Frida, of course. I don't know about that accent, though. All right. Oh, this is Leo. She's probably a Leo moon, don't you think? I can see that. Okay, let us start by saying, okay, it's Frida. It's Frida. Okay. I wish I had my red wine. That's what she really wanted, was that red wine. You see me with my crown. It glows with flowers and halos, and I wear robes, and I have a unibrow, and it is so beautiful. And here's the thing about it is, like, in life, it was such a drag to be a woman in a sense, and I couldn't say I revolutionized what it meant to be a woman, but at a much needed time, okay, a much needed time, I arise as the divine, okay, feminine, and I prove with Diego that I could forgive men for being men. Is that how you say twin flame? Because sometimes you need more time with gents, or maybe he was my karmic lesson, but somehow I graduated and I became transcended to become goddess, essentially. It's amazing feeling, you know. It's a beautiful emblem of life and death. Everything I represent in my paintings still relevant today, just as well. Is a beautiful thing, and I just want women everywhere to be very much the women they are meant to be. I feel like I don't really know what a Mexican accent would necessarily sound like, so please don't mistake my channeling for me trying to impersonate anyone's accent. It's definitely not necessarily an impersonation as much as it's just kind of what's coming out. It's almost as if it were more a possession and she's talking in a certain way. It's not about how it sounds, it's really about how it feels. It comes out, you know? So she take the microphone in the same ways many of them do, but please, it's not the accent that you worry about. It's the way that somebody says it. Okay, so try to think. Close your eyes. You know, you see her eyes closed. Close your eyes. Picture me. Picture me. You know, and these are my movements and my hands, my paintings. Still to this day, alive and well. I exude my energy through everything that I create, and it is created from me, my image, as any of us do. That is what you transcend into. But the phones, the internet, the fourth dimension, we've mentioned a few times, complicates the process because could everyone fit be remembered in the same capacity, or do we pass on just what we need and not everything that's part of the human journey? So we are holding on to every detail, every bit, every part, everything, you know. That's it's not it hinders your progress to think that everyone should be doing everything all the time. Okay, it's beyond the artist or the content or the continents, even the global broadcasting, all at the time, all at the time. I think of the Hunchback movie, the Notre Dame, the Esmeralda, and that was me. That was my energy. It was who I was, and Diego's my hunchback. But in my version, he kissed a girl. But I felt like Esmeralda. And I don't know that movie, but my children, my grandchildren, did she have kids? I don't think she had kids. Yeah, for sure. Yes. I don't. Did they have kids? I'm very thrown by that. She's talking about her kids. Hi, hello, Monty Burns. Larry Bird, Monty Burns. Okay. Did she? I don't think she had kids. Oh, yeah, maybe. No. Right, yeah, that was her whole thing. So, okay. I just was like, wait a second, she didn't have no damn kids. Okay, so back in. So my children are the women inspired to be absent of motherhood, no children, artists, the women with the unibrows. I'm like a patron saint, but for art. So there are people who is not say pray, but it feels good to have impacted so many lives because like my life cycle's complete, right? Because I did not feel a need to make my mark in such a way to carry on a bloodline as much as I created a new path for a world where women's work is as revered as the men, because up until that point in the modern art world, name one other woman from my time. That's why we've got Da Vinci next. So it's interesting to say. So it means a lot to me. So my daughters, all of my daughters, all of you are my daughters. Because I never did have children, I would never regret that, because now I can be here for everyone. I'm here for all. I am here for women as independent beings, their own person, being women over everything, right? Being women creators, artists, There's nothing wrong with being a mother, but we also need our own thing, our own respect for things, okay? Because it's not the only choice a woman has is to be this or that, a wife, I said, divorce, just to marry him again. And we never had a problem in the second time, not once. And I let them have peace because I died first. We planned that. I said, I can't. I said, okay, but I hold on a little bit because I just want to know what life is like without you coming back. And I'll be there again soon, he says. So please, just a few years. And I said, okay. And I died that day. And no one ever knew that I told him that because he was afraid that he'd be framed for my murder somehow. That is so fucking cute as shit. Oh my god, Frida Kahlo. Like I said, I'm not doing an impersonation, I'm doing a channel message, kind of like possession. It was 222211112, so that was cute. Um, it's funny because what I'm basically getting right now is like when I first started this talking to Frida and I brought up Diego, she was like, ugh, no, like, I don't like him, you know, because they were married twice. And she's like, he can have his own fucking night. I don't want him here. We already had like a stacked lineup. Picasso came through. He said Diego first, and Frida was immediately like, yeah, no. But then just now, I start spinning this story where she's like getting super into it, and I could tell he showed up as like his older self, you know. And they're like whispering to each other, and I'm saying it out loud, and then I stop to say this instead, where it's almost like I literally just got them back together, but this is the game that they play because they are like the twin flame sort of connection where, you know, sometimes you spend these long times apart where you may never fall out of love, but in order to put up your fronts or boundaries or whatever you gotta do, you gotta take time and space for you and blah 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 blah. So it's cute. They do this thing. They go back and forth. I feel their energies are connected now. He's allowed to be here suddenly, so that's so funny and cute that that would happen right in front of me. They're like, yes, put the romance back in necromancy. Bring me back to my husband, the long lost divine, this ugly man that I love. He says, this ugly woman that I love. They're so funny because, of course, we see the beauty in being ugly is to be different, it's not to be hideous, you know. I'm gorgeous. You can see it, but the world, of course, all they see is a unibrow, and for him, all they see is the fatness that they become. So we see ourselves as ugly, and they can never take that from us because whether they say, yeah, we think you're ugly, and say, me too. Even though I shine with beauty like Selma Hayek. You know, my voice, everything's so pure and beautiful that we always affectionately called each other ugly. And the funniest thing is that people thought we were mean to each other, hated each other. This is why there's these stupid rumors. We like to have distance in our relationship, and always knew we'd get back together. But people would hear us say stupid things like, "Oh, you're so ugly," and they thought that he was talking down to me or that I deserve better, something like that. When that was our most affectionate, deepest understanding of one another was to say, yes, I just find you to be ugly. Nothing worse than that, just so ugly, because we joked with one another about the way that everyone else perceived us. It was humbling, and he just as well did gasp in awe and say when I looked so beautiful, and I always remind him in the mirror he was so handsome, but our pet name was Little Ugly because we were ducklings, you know, the ugly ducklings. Wow, that's so cute. That is so fucking cute. Um, so we play fights sometimes because eternity is forever. So, you know, you don't have to be next to someone the whole time. You gotta have fun and play with the cat and the mouse and the whatnot and the gatos in the noche. Stupid. The libre, blah blah blah. Whatever the fuck he said. Um, it's very cute. So remembering all your tragedy and all your sorrows and all your woes and all your things that you do, just remember to love and to laugh and to never take yourself so seriously that you cannot be told that you're ugly and not think that shit is funny. For real, I mean, the katka, she's trying to say katka, the chit, the The chica, the chica. I don't know. I don't think it's Spanish what she's referring to. The chica. It sounds like it might be Yiddish. The chica. Um, Chikna. Maybe Indian. Chikna, Valishna. Chikna, Valishna. Something like that. That's not Spanish. It's like Chikna. Chikna. Valishna. There's no way. Chikna. No, this is not at all. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's real words. Maybe that's some alien shit, honestly. Hard to tell. I love her too. She really is like this bold, beautiful woman. Um, but yeah, so in all of your sadness, blah blah blah. Remember to love, remember to laugh, remember to not take things so damn seriously. It's not that life is a joke. There's no need to laugh at yourself, but to laugh along with the play, because life is a play, satita. We are all putting on our own performance and putting on our own pictures. And so paint the picture you want to see and be the healing you want to know, and give the love that you want to receive. He was so crazy about me, and I love that. And because no one knew but me in a way, but everybody knew there was something going on between us all the time, but only I knew that he loved me as much as he did, because he could hardly stand it. And some people would say, oh, it's a fake, it's but no, no. You could see it, could hear it, and it's everything. Just a beautiful, beautiful person. And that is what's really important. If you ask me about my paintings, I do really like the one in the chairs because it was my grief. Let me play the ad. Okay, I'm getting right back in. She's very present. I don't know how much longer it's gonna last. So, because I was grieving, I did the painting. I'm sitting with the wires. It's my favorite. I'm glad that everybody likes it so much. There's other paintings you never seen. The red one. This is one of the red. It's this shade of red.